Oke. Ya.
Bapak langsung naik ini.
Besok. Ini dah malam kalau saya naik. Ya. Penurunan pipi IFD untuk Kecamatan Siding, SD 3 Tamong, SD 5 Tawang, SD 12 Tawang Tubung, dan SMP 4 Siding. Dilaksanakan di Dusun Yang, Kecamatan Siding.
The time is only 7 a.m., accompanied by heavy rain. They are getting ready to go on a long journey today. With a glass of warm coffee and a few cigarettes that they smoked, indicating that they were ready to go through the rain and the wilderness towards Tawang village. Today's cold weather is not an obstacle to keep moving forward.
Cocok cuaca. Ternyata 2 hari panas ya. Cuma 1.
To ensure the safety of the items being transported, they prepared large tarpaulins. These tarpaulins would be used to wrap the items to prevent them from getting wet in the rain. They must really make sure their belongings are safe from rainwater. They again ensured that the goods were tied tightly and securely to make it easier for them during the trip. With a round piece of wood, which will sit on their shoulders later while they carry goods for hours.
Di motor saya.
The rain is falling harder, indicating that today's journey will be increasingly difficult and full of challenges.
Alak quá, mẹ nàng con.
Kan nukuk na ba?
And finally, the long journey begins. With goods weighing over 50 kilograms, it is actually not too heavy for them. But with such a long travel time, it will certainly drain their energy and stamina throughout the journey. In the midst of heavy rain and passing through muddy and long roads, their footsteps were slow but sure, ensuring that this journey was safe. The slippery and muddy roads further increase their vigilance on this journey. Step by step, slowly across the slippery road. which at any time could make them slip.
At 9:30 a.m., they arrived at Dusun Bumbung to rest for a while. To relieve the fatigue and cold that had enveloped them throughout the journey, they smoked a few cigarettes to warm their bodies. Some of them also repaired the binding of the goods to make them more sturdy when carried. Regardless of the cold and tiredness they felt, they always had a warm story to share with each other. It was as if they had forgotten that the rain today was really making their bodies feel frozen. After feeling they had rested enough, they continued their journey. At this point, they were only about 10% of the way to the school. It had been a long time, and it really felt like a long time, considering all the time and energy they had.
Ke depan dia ke jauh. Ada enggak bawa? Sempit ni kaya air tetap mah. Sempit ni kaya air.
This is a suspension bridge in Bumbung Hamlet. The slippery planks during the rain increase their caution when crossing. A miscalculation could result in a freefall into the river, which is over 30 meters high. Every time they finish climbing a hill, they must take a short break to rest and regain their energy. Before we knew it, it was already 11:30 a.m. Their energy was starting to drain. Finally, we decided to take a break for lunch. We took shelter at an uninhabited hut for lunch. With a few side dishes and vegetables, we filled our stomachs to regain our energy before continuing our journey.
Baloi, Sungai Baloi di Desa Tamung. Ini baru setengah perjalanan. Belum ya? Baru sekitar 40% perjalanan menuju Tawang. mau mengangkut TV pintar katanya. Bukanlah Pak Prabowo menuju Tawang. Kita dibantu oleh warga-warga dari Tawang Tubung, dari Tawang Tikam. Tawang Tikam pindahnya.
Benar. Marah
Ini lah kita makan di sama orang tidak ada ya.
After lunch, we continued our journey. We started heading towards Mount Basam, which is located in Tamang village. This is the initial route before we climbed Mount Basam.
Pak Wali kita duluan. Saya tidak tahu duluan. Tidak tahu dari Wali.
After only an hour of traveling, heavy rain again today, and the difficult terrain made us hungry again. So we decided to eat again before actually climbing Mount Basam, which was in front of us. And finally, they began to traverse the Mount Basam Trail, a path with an incline exceeding 45 degrees. Every step felt shaky and required extra strength to reach the top. The weight of their original 50 kg felt like they were carrying more than 100 kg. It took about an hour to get to the top, and again, they had to rest because they were so exhausted.
Pelan-pelan.
Around 3 p.m., we arrived at Tamang Atas Hamlet, the last village before Tawang village. We rested here again to smoke some cigarettes to warm ourselves up.
Posisi sekarang mendampingi orang-orang dari Tawang untuk membantu mengangkut IFP ya. Posisi kita ada 3 buah TV. Ini SMP 4 Siding, yang di sana itu untuk SD 5 Tawang Tikam, yang bungkus biru itu SD 12 Tawang Tubung. Dan ini adalah kerjasama warga Tawang ya, komite dan orang tua untuk membantu membawa TV pemberian Pak Prabowo.
A few sips of water are enough to restore the body's fluids to a tired body.
Kita kan saatnya dia Joko. Saya balik sungai apa?
Some of them repair the ties and replace the wood to make carrying them easier.
Kalau saya nggak tahan. Jam 6 antara jam 7 jam 2 tay qua đây pakai sampai nama kowe ada batat dia batara pangan udah keluarkan berapa orang yang Mudah kok. Rak, merdeka Pak. Rồi bạn này nó phải qua. Rồi bạn làm việc đó. Apa nó sampai daerah gua di pulau ini. Kalian apa kalian mana kalian mana. Saya dulu. Yang kasih kalian punya Aduh, dinginan. Tawang. Đi xe ngồi. Này ông có cái sạc xe. Gạt tay mà. Gạt tay.
After we felt we had rested enough, we continued our journey. And again, we had to eat again because we had exhausted so much energy. Our current position was at the Unjili River, which was still in the Tamong village area. At this point, we had been on foot for 8 hours. Under heavy rain and the cold, whether in the mountainous area of Tamong village.
Bắt máy, bắt mẹ, bắt cơm, đập. Nhơn. Chia chứ chú. Nhìn nữa. Mẹ, mấy quay cơ.
Satu hari ini kan. Tu kami. Satu kami.
Nha. Saya berita tadi dua. Setelah saya itu tadi suruh saya agak keringat bangkunya. Dari Komas sampai Baloi ya berdua.
Tetap semangat.
Siap.
Apakah yakin mampu naik, Pak?
Yakin dong.
It's called the Peju Slope here. It's a steep slope, even though it's less than 100 meters long. But many motorcyclists have fallen and rolled here because the road is slippery and rocky with an incline of almost 50 degrees.
Empat bah, baik kalau ini bos, tidak ada orang kasaunya. Ano itu kami punya kampung, besok bawa lanjut. Maklum lah kalau kita. Sudah dapat terdapat. Baik, naik kegiatan Pak. Mana yang lanjut?
At 5 p.m., we just arrived at the border between Tawang and Tawang villages after a 9-hour journey. From this point, we still had 5 hours left to reach the school.
Sakit, penting mereka anak-anak bisa main di sana.
Gimana Pak Komite?
Kurang fit, tapi tetap semangat, pantang menyerah.
Here we began to enter the ancient forest area in the Tawang Tubong area. The darkness of the night made it increasingly difficult for us to see, so armed with a small flashlight on our heads, we continued our journey.
Jam 2 subuh. Ya, jam 2 malam mereka sudah turun untuk menjemput TV ini ya. Dan sekarang sudah jam 6 malam, tapi belum juga sampai. Gimana Bang?
Masih semangat Pak.
Masih semangat Bang ya? Ya, masih anak muda Masih berapa jam lagi nih kita mikul nih?
4 jam atau 5 jam lah.
4 atau 5 jam lagi.
Mau deh.
Ini tunggu namanya. Baru asuk kanan ini. No. Bengkayang cuma set asuk gue karena duduk Pak. Bak pas anda bak kubil berbay.
Finally, we arrived at the junction leading to Tawang Tubong village. It seemed like our journey would soon be over, but of course not. Even though we had entered Tawang Tubong village, there were still 3 hours of walking left to reach the school location. Now we have arrived at the top of the Keched hill, a hill that is above the Sekyam River. We took another short break after walking for 1 hour from the Tawang Tubong village intersection earlier. The feeling of tiredness seemed to be forgotten when they could still laugh freely and talk about many things.
Kau ya jepoi mu jak nak kata ini bapaknya ya. Wah, tinggi. Oh, kau jadi. Bawa aja ke bawah gue. Hama kerja stop namanya. Kiau. Mau kiau kira ni mau aku cangop. Ôi, aku cầm tóc.
After enough chatting and finishing a few sips of water and a few cigarettes, we continued our journey. The remaining energy we had made our luggage feel even heavier when carried on our shoulders. Exactly at 10 p.m., we finally arrived at Tawang Penning village, another small village in Tawang village. We placed our belongings on a local resident's drying rack, while we rested at the home of one of the residents who helped carry the onions. His name was Mr. Nuns, an employee at SMP Negeri for Siding. Here, we were served dinner prepared by his wife. We ate warmly beside a wood stove in the kitchen. Because we were exhausted and unable to continue the journey, we ended up staying at Mr. Nu's house, with the clothes we had worn that day still wet. The cold on our bodies seemed to no longer be felt, masked by the deep sense of fatigue. Finally, we decided to stay overnight in Tawang Penning village. A bright morning view from a small village called Tawang Penning indicated new enthusiasm as we returned to carry our things to school. And finally, after a long and tiring 2-day journey, the IFP, or Smart TV for accelerating the digitalization of education, arrived at the school. With various stories from the journey, it will undoubtedly be a valuable experience for all involved.
Akhirnya sampai guys, setelah menempuh perjalanan 2 hari. Kita berangkat kemarin dari jam 8 pagi ya, dari daerah Tokot namanya, Desa Bengkawan, Kecamatan Seluas. Dan hari ini Selasa tanggal 9 Desember 2025, kita baru sampai di sekolah ya, karena tadi malam tidak mampu melanjutkan perjalanan, harus menginap di rumah warga. Sini ya Pak, di bawah ya dulu. Tik foto depan pelangnya. Nah apa, istirahat ya dulu. Istirahat dulu. Oke, ya akhirnya kita sampai di hari kedua, Selasa tanggal 9 Desember 2025. Setelah menempuh perjalanan selama 2 hari, akhirnya TV-nya sampai di lokasi sekolah SMP 4 Siding.